Hi, I'm Kurt with Infinity Cutting Tools, and today I want to talk with you guys about squares. Now, the lowly square is an afterthought to most woodworkers, yet really it's one of the most useful tools that you can have in your shop. I keep multiple different types of squares around the shop, and I carry my 4-inch double square with me pretty much everywhere I go in the shop. Now, I'm going to talk with you today about 3 of the most common types of squares: precision machinist squares, adjustable double squares, and combo squares. So let me go over some of the differences with them, and then we'll talk about some of their uses. Precision machinist squares are a very useful tool to have in your shop because they are machined to a very tight tolerance. Our eye gauging precision squares are precisely square and flat, making them not only awesome for project layout, but also great for checking square on your joiner, table saw, fences, and jigs. And while machinist squares have a useful place in the shop, the adjustable double and combo squares are going to be your go-to layout tool. These very handy adjustable head rulers make doing everything from dovetails and mortise and tenons to setting up router bit height easier. The eye gauging squares we carry here at Infinity Tools are easy to read with a nice satin finish and laser etched markings. They are R4 marked with graduations of 16th, 8th, 32nd, and 64th inches. They are made with forged cast iron heads, creating a very precise and durable tool. The rule on these is 5/64 hardened stainless steel. I'm going to now show you a couple of quick uses for these squares. Some of the useful things you can do with a square in your shop are going to be to check 90 on the corner of a board. To do this, simply place the head of the square against an edge and slide down till the ruler touches the perpendicular edge. Then you're going to look for any gaps between these two lines. Now, to make this a little bit easier, you might want to look into some light and see if the light shines through there. That's going to be a quick sign of whether or not this edge to this edge is a 90. Now, one of the other things is that we can use the square to determine the true measurement on a board. We sometimes will use our planers planers settings to kind of tell us where we're at. That's not always going to be the most accurate way. So what we can do is we can simply place the board onto a flat work surface, lay the head of the square on top of the board, and then drop the rule until it touches the work surface, and then tighten this up. And that gives us the true thickness of this material that we can then transfer over to, say, the other workpiece for making dovetail lines or for doing mortises and tenons, things along those lines. Now, we can also use the square to draw a parallel line along an edge. This can be done on the end of the board, along the line edge of the board. This is useful for when you're doing dovetails, for rabbets, things like that, to make our layout lines and marks. So what you can do is simply place the head along one of the edges, have the pencil or marking knife against the end of the rule that's set to a certain distance, and then simply draw down the edge of that board. Simply follow the ruler down, and it's going to give you a nice little parallel line that follows the edge perfectly. We can also use our adjustable combo square to find center along the side of a board. Simply draw a line 90 degrees to one side. Then using the 45-degree attachment, we're going to simply place our pencil along one end and draw a 45-degree line, and then do the same with the other. And the point where these two intersect is going to be the center of the board. Now, what's nice about that is that this will really help us when we have certain measurements that have to be centered exactly on the board. A lock miter bit is one of the prime examples where you have to have that perfect center line. We can simply transfer that over to help us set up our lock miters. One of the other nice things that we can do is we can do spacing perfectly across of this. So what you'd simply do is draw yourself your starter line. It can be at the end of the board or wherever. Then you're going to set a measurement. In this case, I'm going to use 1 inch. And what we'll do is we'll place it at the line and then draw a hashtag or hash mark. Sorry, I've been twittering too much. A little hash mark right there. Then we follow this down, we do it again. And now we have perfectly spaced 1 inch spacings. We can then transfer over the lines if we need to. And those can even be, again, transferred down. So, as you can see, for layout lines and things like that, the square is extremely useful. We can also do very nice ways to measure grooves, dados, mortises, etc. And again, you're going to place the head of the square along the work surface and then drop until you're inside that groove. And that'll give you the exact depth to make, for your matching tenon or workpiece. And that's a really useful feature. One of the other handy tasks that a square can do is to help you with setting router bit height and table saw blade height. To do this, you're simply going to make your measurement and set the rule edge on the work table. You can then raise your router bit until it touches the work piece, or until it touches the square's head. What's nice is you can see it when it hits. It'll lift up a little bit here, and so that'll tell you exactly when you're touching. And that's how we can set the height. It works the same on the table saw. By using your precision square, you can check to make sure that the fence is parallel to the joiner bed. This works on the table saw blade as well, anything that you need to get squared. And what you're going to do is make sure your machine's unplugged first, but place the head along the bed and then slide over until it touches the fence. If you need to make any adjustments, you'll be able to see. You want to make sure that this is as square as possible to here, because if you tilt it a little bit, you may get out of kink. So come over and see. If you can see any light along the edge, along this edge, then you know you're out of square a little bit, and you just adjust accordingly until you get that right. As you can see, squares can be handy little tools, and we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. At Infinity, we now also offer 2 great combination packages. One features the 4-inch double square and 6-inch combo square, and the other is our ultimate square set, featuring our 4-inch double, 12-inch combo, and 3-piece precision machine squares.